Hello and welcome to erpwebtutor.com. This is Deep. And in the previous tutorial, we talked about the setting up a user account for the HR analyst and also the responsibility creation for setting up the core HRMS functionalities. We also spoke about the flex field setups, and this is the first section where we will actually set the flex fields. So we need to know one thing, that when we create the flex fields, we are going to use the value sets which are going to be associated with the segments of our flex fields. So before we create the flex fields, we need to create the value sets so we can use them for our segments. So the first thing that we need to do here is we are going to create the value sets for our job flex field. So the first value set that we're going to create here is for the US demo US job department value set. So we at this point have identified the flex field structures. So it is going to be a 3-segment flex field with the job department, the job name, and the job level. So we are going to create the value sets for these 3 segments. So the first segment is the job department. So let's go and create the value set called the demo US job depth. So this is the setup document, and let's copy the name of the value set and we're going to create. So this is the name of the value set. So we'll go back to our Oracle. For creating the value set, the navigation path is going to be system administrator responsibility, application, validation, set. So this is the name of the value set. And for this one, it's going to be a character value set, and it's going to be independent. So let's take a look at the different criteria for the size and the format validation. So if you see here, so it's a list of values. The maximum size is 30, it's character, and the validation type is independent. So let's enter those information there. The maximum size is 30, and we are not going to check any of these, so you can have there is no case restriction, so you can have uppercase and smaller case. So that's about it for the value set for the job department. Let's save it. Now once we save this, again, this is an independent value set. That means you can have the values just entered without any restrictions. So if you want to know more about the value set, you need to take a look at some of the other videos that we have on our website in the free section. We have a document as well as a video for understanding value sets in Oracle. So once we have this created, let's go to the next piece of it, which is the job name. So this is our second value set for our second segment. So let's create, and you just need to click the news icon here, paste the name of the value set. Again, this is a list of values with no security. The format type is character, and the maximum size is 60. Now again, this one you can have like uppercase or whatever if you want. In this example, we don't care whether it's uppercase or lowercase. You can have any case standards here. Now this one is a dependent value set. The reason we are using this as a dependent value set is because this is the job name. So depending on what you select as a department, you are going to have a restricted list for this segment. So let's say if your job name is like an IT programmer or an analyst, so you have to be in the IT department. So since our job, the first segment is the department, so depending on what you select on the department segment, your list is going to be, it's going to change based on your selection for the department segment. So that's why this is a dependent value set. As you can see here, the validation type is dependent, And we also have to specify the independent value set name when we are creating a dependent value set. So let's see what we are doing here. And so we just created the previous value set called the demo US job depth. And the moment we select the dependent value set here, you see that this edit information button gets enabled. That means we can edit the information of this value set. So now, since it's a dependent value set, we need to specify what is its dependency. So we need to specify the independent value set on which our demo US job name value set is depending on. So we can save this one first. So once we try to save, it says that you have to enter the independent value set information first. So we know that our independent value set in this case is our demo US job depth, and the reason it asks for a dependent default value. So if it is, if you don't select anything, what default value it's going to take. So for our case, we have just, since it's a default, we just keep it as default. It's probably not going to be used in any of the jobs. It's just a value that we need to create for our dependent value set setup. So these are the default values. So now we can save it. So it's saved. Our second value set has been created. Now we need to look at our, so you have the screenshots here. See, this is the value set name, and this is the dependent value set information. That's the independent value and the default values. Now our third value set, which is going to be associated with our third segment in the job, is called the demo US job level. So let's go ahead and create this. Again, we click on this plus icon, demo US job level, and this one we can put a maximum size. Again, this is 30, so we're going to put 30 here, and the validation type for this one is independent. So this value set does not depend on any other selection in your previous value set. So let's see if there's any case format type. Okay, this one, okay, we have made it uppercase, so you can only uppercase strings or characters can be entered for this value set. So we're just trying to keep different things so that you can learn all the different values, what the different kinds that you can use in your practical scenario. So once we do this, we save it. So we are actually ready to create our job flex field because we already have created all the value sets. Now you can enter the values for the value sets at a later point of time. It doesn't matter when you create it. You just need to have the values created before you actually start creating the jobs, because that time you definitely need to use those values in the segments. Now, once we define the value sets, we should be ready to create the flex field, because at the flex field definition, all we care for is the value set that we are selecting for a particular segment. So let's try to follow the document, just so that you can just follow this when you are doing it. So once we define the value sets, so it's time for us to create the job flex field. So for creating the job flex field segments, our navigation path is going to be the system administrator flex field, and this is a key flex field. So I'm going to key, and underneath that segments. So we go into query mode to search for our flex field, which is job. It's the flex field title, which is going to be job flex field. So you can just say job %, and it's going to give you all the flex fields defined underneath that. Now, notice one thing is that the header portion of this form, which is the flex field title and the application, you cannot create anything here. It comes with the installation of the e-business suite. So the job flex field is a predefined flex field that is offered to you. You can define the different structures, which is the bottom section of this form, and use those structures for your business group. So this is the job flex field you're seeing here is actually the predefined or the seeded flex field that comes with the installation. And in most cases, you probably are not going to modify that. You're going to create your own flex field structure and use it for your business group. So it's time now to create our job flex field. So for that, our name or the code of our structure is going to be demo US job flex field. So in most cases you can have like different flex field structures for different business group. So once we have the US, that's why we have the name as the US job flex field, the company name and the business group, just to specify for what business group this structure is going to be used. So if you have different business groups, like for example, different countries, so tomorrow you have Canada, so you can have demo can job flex field if they have a different flex field structure. So in this case, this is our flex field structure name. The title actually defaults on entry of your code. You can definitely change it. That's not required, but you can just leave it the way it is. So once you have that, now it's time. So this is just the structure name. Now, once you have the structure name defined, you need to explicitly mention what are the segments that are going to be used by this structure. So this is the structure. So underneath the structure, you can open the segments and you're going to enter the different segments that you are going to use for your job. Like I said before, like in this present scenario, you're going to have a 3-segment structure, which is the job department, job name, and job level. So let's create the segments. Now, if you see here, you're going to keep it the same way, the way it is here. Now, the first one is job department. We put a sequence number here, and that's how they're going to appear. So job department, the window prompt again defaults from the name. You can change it if you want. Now the columns are, if you select here, you have 30 segments that you can use. So basically you can have a job at the most, which is like a 30 segments, just you can imagine the flexibility that Oracle has given here. So you can have something as long as 30 segments. So for our job department, we're going to use the segment 1 column of our table. And now here we are going to select the value set that we just created. So it starts with demo, and our value set for this segment is going to be the demo US job department. Now we come back to the next one. Now you can see that there's a message. Your size is 30 and the maximum size is actually 60. So it's going to give you this warning, so you can just ignore that. So now create the next one, which is our job name. So let's copy the name from here. Again, you can always change the window prompt if you want to. Now for this, let's select the segment 2 and let's select the value set, which is our demo US job name. So if you see this, you're going to see an error message saying the value set demo US job name on segment job name cannot be used. First add and save the independent value set. Now, if you remember this, the demo US job name is actually a dependent value set. So when you're trying to use this dependent value set, you have to save the information for your independent value set. Now, at this point, we have not saved the entry for the job department. So Oracle at this point doesn't know that we are using the demo US job department value set for this segment. So now, in order to let Oracle know that, okay, we are going to use this dependent value set called demo US job name, we need to make sure that the independent value set for this dependent value set has been saved. So that's why it is not letting me save this information. So let's clear this second row here, which is number 20. So we can just clear it, clear record. So now we have the first segment, which has the independent value set, and let's save it. So once we save it, we should be able to enter the second one, which is our dependent value set. So now this is again our segment 2, and let's try to use our dependent value set called demo US job name. And now if we save it, we should be able to. Yes, and it did save it. Let's create the third one, which is our job level. So let's copy the job level from here. So this is our third value set, and these are the 3 segments that we are trying to create for our jobs. Now, the reason I'm copying this information from my document and pasting it, so we are going to assume that you also have your setup document created before you are actually creating these setups. So you should be able to copy the prompts, the value set, all these information from your document, from your setup document, the BR100 document. So at this point, we're going to save it. So once we save here, now notice one thing: for every segment, if you open it, this small screen appears, and it gives you some more information about this segment. And you notice this small checkbox here, which is required. So if this, by default, this required checkbox is checked, that means when you're trying to create a job, all the 3 segments are going to be required. So whenever you are creating any flex field, be it key flex field or descriptive flex field, so when you're trying to create the segments, make sure that if you don't want those segments to be required, you come here and uncheck this required checkbox. Otherwise, you will not know. You will just create your flex field, and then when the users are trying to create some information like say employee information or assignment information, where you have a flex field enabled, it's not going to let the user save the information unless the user creates or enters something for that flex field. So make sure that when you want the flex field to be required and when you don't want it to be required. So this is the place where you check or uncheck depending on your requirement. So we have our segments set up. So let's save it. For the job, we actually need all the 3 segments to be required in this example. So we save it. So once this is saved, it's important that you check these 2 checkboxes. One is called allow dynamic inserts. This will let you enter the new jobs when you're creating the jobs, and this is a must. You have to have this checkbox checked in order to create new jobs. Otherwise, it's not going to let you create the jobs. Now, once you have this, you are going to freeze the flex field definition. Now, it is again important that you freeze your flex field definition before you can use it. So you freeze it. So what happens once you freeze it and then you compile it, it's going to compile saying it's compiling the flex field definition. And once you click OK, it's going to say, okay, it's going to give you this message saying the flex field was compiled successfully and submit a request. So this is the view that is being generated. This is the flex field view. So once you see this message, that means your flex field has been successfully compiled. So now we close this. So basically we are done with creating our job flex field. Now this is just the first flex field that we created. Now let's go back. Now it's time for us to create the segment values for our job flex field. So we already have created the job segments, the value sets for each segment. Now you need to have some data or the values for those value sets. So you created a container called the demo US job department, and that container needs to contain the values that are going to appear as a list of value when you're trying to enter something in that segment one. So at this point, we are going to specify what those values would be in your drop down list. So for our department, in this case, we have the following departments that are going to be added to our department flex field value set. So these are core, finance, HR, and IT. Again, these are the most common used ones. You can definitely have more, but again, the idea is to know what you need to do. You can have a different job structure altogether, and you can have the segments using different kinds of value set depending on the client's job storing, the way they store their jobs, the way they define their jobs. So you can have different values that you got to create. So in this example, so we need to create the departments. We have 4 departments in here. Now, to create the values for a value set, we need to navigate to System Administrator, Application, Validation. Underneath that, we have the value set and values. We already created the value set. So now we're going to go to values. Now, once you go to value, we need to select the value set for which we are adding the values. So we know our value set is called something like demo, and it's called the demo US job department or depth. So once we select the value set, we're going to click find, and this is where we are going to create the values for our value set. Now, we have 4 values in here. Say corp is for our corporate, where we're going to put our CEOs and CIOs and all the executives. So this is going to be corporate. And the next one is going to be finance. So we have finance here. We have HR. Now remember that what we were trying to do before in our formats, we said in the uppercase. So this is the place where it's going to restrict us. If we had uppercase, it would not let me enter something in smaller case. So this is the place where your format validation is going to take place. And then we have finally IT. Description is IT. So we have our 4 values created for our value set. Now you see this checkbox says enabled. By default, it's enabled. That means this value will appear in the list of value. If you decide not to use, or if you have, the company has, in most cases, they would say we don't use this department anymore. So what you can do is you cannot delete the value from a value set. So you have to, in order to remove it from the drop down, you have to uncheck this enable checkbox, and that way, that particular value won't show up in the list of values. So if for now, if I click on the value set, I'm going to see 4 values in the list of values. So this is why this enable checkbox is from. So we actually keep the date from and date to mostly null, unless you have a fixed time period for which you have this value set enabled, or the value set is active. So we have created our first value set, which is an independent value set. Now, once we do that, now again, we need to create our second value set. So we don't have to close this form. We can just be on the header. Once we are on the header and we click on the small torch icon, it's going to, this is a find button. So you can click here and it's going to take you to that find screen. Now, our second value set is the job name. Now, if you remember, the second value set, which is job name, is actually a dependent value set. So an independent value set for this demo US job name is the job department. So when we are trying to create values, we will see how the values are being specific for a particular value for our job department value set. So the values for a dependent value set is depending on the value that you select for the independent value set. So once you select this demo US job name, you will see that at the header, you have the job department. So this is my independent value set, and this is my dependent value set. Now, what is the independent value here? Now, the independent value here is corp. Now, if you see, the values that we just created for the departments are corp. If we just press the down key, we're going to see the different values that we created. So for the job department, we had corp, fin, which is finance, HR, and IT. So we have these 4 different independent values. So now first, we are going to create the dependent values for the value corp. So when you select corp for the department, these are the values that will show up in the list. You will not see all the values. So that's the dependency. So you select corp, you see these 3 or 4. You select finance or fin, you're going to see like 2 or 3 or 4, whatever, which are dependent on the value fin. And then IT, similarly, the dependent list shows up. So if you see the document here, first we are going to create the values for the independent value corp. So basically, if you select the department as corp, you are going to see these values, like the CEO, CFO, and the president. So these are the 3 values that you are going to see if you select corp as your segment 1 value, which is the job department. So now let's create these. So first is CEO, the next is CFO, and the next one is president. So let's save it. Now we have to be on the header and press the down key to go to the next record. Now under finance, let's see the document. What are the values that we have for finance? Now we have vice president, director, manager, supervisor, officer, and accounting clerk. So let's quickly create those. So you have supervisor, officer, and finally accounting clerk. So these are the values that will appear if you select finance as your department. So let's save this again. Now let's go to the next record in the header for the independent value HR, and let's see what values we have here. Now for HR, we have the following values that we need to create. Vice president, director, manager, supervisor, and officer. So once we have these entered, let's save it. And we go to the next value, which is IT. And let's quickly create the values for this value, for independent value IT. So vice president, again. So you can have your own different list, but the reason we are using this dependent value set so that you can, this is just to be more realistic. And this will definitely help you when you are trying to create, because this is a very common scenario that you're going to encounter. You will probably have a dependent value sets So these are the different values for my IT. Okay, so we are done with the value sets here. So this is the different value set for our dependent value, the job name. And then finally, we also have our third value set called the demo US job level. So we can just click on the header, find button. This is our value set, and the values are exec, which is executives, and then 1, 2, 3, which are the level 1, level 2, and level 3. So level 1, level 2, level 3, and then you have 2 more, which is MGR. Again, everything is MGR. And then you have supervisor, which has been abbreviated as SUPR. And that's it. So we have completed our third value set. So by now, we actually have our job flex field setup completely done. So we need to create the following jobs when we are going to create the jobs. So in this section, we are not creating the jobs. We are going to create the business group and everything, and that's when we are going to create the following jobs. But so basically, these are the jobs that the company has. So this is the list that you got from their HR, and based on what you got, and so these are the 3 segments. So this is my segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, and for each segment we had the value set. So these are the departments. So these are the corp, the finance, HR, and IT. We got 4 values for our department value set. For the job names, we had the CEO, CFO, CIO, president, all these different values created. And then this was a dependent value set depending on what you select in the department. And these are the different job levels. So our third value set, which will have these values, I mean the distinct values for creating the jobs. So we will finish this video at this point. In the next tutorial, we will talk about the other flex fields. We will come with the more flex field setup so that we can proceed towards creating the business group for our implementation. So I hope you enjoyed this session, and I really appreciate your time, and I hope that you enjoy learning Oracle apps. Thank you.